The planning conversation starts here on the Income Protection Podcast. Here's your host, Mike Cogdall and Grayson Owen.
All right, Mike, we are back after summer break. How are things going? I heard you were on the road quite a bit this summer.
Well, let's just say that, one, things are going well, Grayson. Good to see you again. It's been a little while. We do stay in touch, but yeah, I actually was on the road for 33 days. After the 4th of July, we decided to go west to see friends in Colorado. We'd made kind of a plan to go for maybe, the good old 10 to 14 days total drive, go see friends, do this stuff. But it turned into a 33-day adventure, and I will tell you to have the ability, if you're ever lucky enough to do so, even with 2 girls, a dog, and a spouse, we all got along really, really, really well, believe it or not, because we all did so many different things and got to do so much different stuff. But short story long, it was awesome. And to not be plugged in, if you can go longer than 72 hours without touching a computer or a phone, to include even a text, nothing, just do it. It's amazing. We had one opportunity where we ended up in Salmon Lake, Idaho, which is kind of in the middle of nowhere. Unless you're a big steelhead fisherman, you might not know where it is. And to go to a lake that a friend of mine, their families had a cabin at this lake for since, I don't know, the 40s. It's not a place where you really get service. And even with your kids, and there were other kids there because my friends have kids the same age as my kids, it's amazing, Grayson, where you go 7 days with nobody getting to touch stuff, how suddenly waterfalls become more interesting, hikes become more interesting, trying to catch a fish becomes more interesting, just sitting there looking at the mountains becomes more, anyway, you get the point. But yeah, we had a great trip, 33 days on the road, 6,100 miles, got to see a couple national parks. By far, I'll tell everybody this is a plug for national parks. My kids had more fun in Zion National Park than they ever had at Universal or Disney. That I can attest to that and tell you straight up. Awesome. They were, matter of fact, mad that we couldn't go to Bryce, which is the next one right next door, basically another national park right within range. They were really upset we had to come back to Florida and not get a chance to do some more national parks. Oh, and we couldn't go to the canyon because the North Rim was closed. And I actually drove through Utah and that part of the world, and the smoke was so bad you wouldn't believe it. I mean, it was so thick that my visibility, where it would normally be 100 miles, Grayson was literally down to maybe less than a mile for Viz. That's how thick the smoke was. Right. So this fire in the West, it's real and it's real big. It's real big. I don't know a ton about the forest fire there, but at the Grand Canyon, it's one, really remote, as you know, and two, is just like, it's bad. It's real bad. So that's a little bit crazy, but didn't get to go to the canyon, but we did go step on the Four Corners, which, the 4 states all in one spot. And believe it or not, that's in the middle of nowhere. So we did a whole lot of middle of the nowhere stuff. And as a sidebar, I got to tell you, I got to tell you, I have daughters. As you well know, everybody knows. And so, no, they got to go to Cherry Creek Mall in Denver and shop. They got to go to Aspen, hang out, shop, do fun stuff in Aspen. They also got to go to Fashion Square in Scottsdale, which is a gigantic mall, and get their back to school clothes. So they really weren't in the woods the entire time. So that whole, city, urban, country, hike, everything, it all came together really, really well. If I got the chance to do it again, I would, but they're getting older and college is around the corner. So this was the time we decided to give it a shot, bud. So thanks for asking. I know that was a long dissertation, but it was really fun.
No, rock and
now
roll.
It's good to be back doing the DI world.
Yeah, no, I'm glad you guys had a good trip.
And the good old, what, in this income protection world, it gives you a chance to reflect and clear your head, completely clear your head when you're just not totally distracted. And you've heard me say it 1,000 times, and I'll say it again. If I was a pro baseball player, I'd be batting 1. And after this time I had taken off, which, 400 is great, 1 is not so great. After all this time taken off, I'm more committed now than ever to help you, me, anybody we can, anybody we know in our industry, sell more of this stuff, because as you drive 6,100 miles, you see ambulances, you see accidents, you see fires, you hear, the world's not a perfect place, and we all do the best we can not to make it harder on ourselves than we can. And I just keep looking at this without income protection and disability insurance. I just don't know how a family can really go and just not have it. I just don't get it. With all the things we spend money on, I think a good friend of mine, Alex, just posted a Starbucks analogy. And for the Starbucks every day, you could actually buy a disability insurance policy, which would probably benefit you a lot more in the case you ever needed it than a cup of caffeine. And I'm not dissing Starbucks. I'm just saying, I don't know how we get people to prioritize this. But maybe we should. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I think it goes back to the famous awareness problem. So the less people that have it top of mind, the less people are going to act on it. So we certainly have to come together as an industry and make sure that this stays as an item on the planning agenda for every family out there and every individual that's earning an income in America. We can't let that go anymore. It's going to take an effort from everybody, though. That's how we can help everybody. What I've found in the market, which I've alluded to before in previous episodes, is that when working Americans are informed of their long-term coverage, disability coverage options, they more times than not want to pursue coverage. They want to apply for coverage. So that tells me one thing. Most of the working Americans that I have conversations with brokers with on a phone, on a Zoom call, in person, they have not been informed of their options before calls with us in most instances. So it's a simple formula that we just have to go get the word out. And the more times we do that, the more people are going to want to apply for coverage and to learn more about this important coverage.
Yeah, and you and I know that it's not that hard to get, right? Let's just make that easy real quick today. It's not that hard to get. There's a heck of a lot more healthy people than there are sick people. By the way, lest I digress here, how's your family? I know it's hot where you are because it's hot where I am, but how's the family doing? Back to school?
Oh, yeah. Back to school for over a week now. They started early in Georgia. And since the 4th, it's been just, standard humid southeast weather with just craziest thunderstorms you could imagine in the evenings. But everything's going well. Family's doing well. Everybody enjoyed their summer and time off from school, but they're back at it now and everything's good. Thanks for asking.
That's awesome. And I have another question. What is exactly your spouse does?
She's a nurse. She's an RN in the ER.
So she sees it every day.
She sees a lot of stuff every day. Yes. Stuff that you and I probably wouldn't even want to imagine. Yep.
No, I couldn't. I told anybody that if I ever was even a physician, I couldn't be a nurse. I would be horrible at it. But if I was a physician, I could probably only be like a dermatologist because you don't have to do like all that blood and gut kind of stuff, as they say.
Right.
So no, but yeah, she's busy every day, right?
Oh yeah, they're very busy every day. The one thing that you and I talk about that it's crazy to think about is that every person who goes there to the ER unexpectedly, they woke up the day that they're going there probably thinking everything was okay, right? The vast majority of them probably woke up that day or the day before, and there might not have been anything wrong. And something happened in that time period that made them go to the ER. And that's crazy to think about.
And isn't that amazing that it could the ER can be just minor chest pains, as we always hope it's something, a little bit of angina or just nervousness, or it's a cut, it's a tetanus shot because you're not as good a carpenter as you thought you were, or those types of things. But for a lot of people, it's life changing, and we both know that. And, talk about life changing and just how we have to be prepared and what goes on in life. Didn't you post something relative to this like today on like LinkedIn on like how the world works? And I think it really does. It's with your spouse specifically. Doesn't it kind of equate to the world we're talking about right now?
Yeah, it does. I actually got a phone call from my wife last evening, and she asked if I could cancel a call because I have to go run carpool real quick before daycare and after school care closes because she had a flat tire. And the crazy part about this flat tire is that we just put brand new tires, high performance, quote unquote tires, probably on her vehicle. And it doesn't matter if you have a brand new tire or whatever. If you hit some type of object in the road, like it looks like her tire did, it put a hole right in the tire. Now, luckily her dad and brother helped on the spot, so she was able to drive away. I am not a car person, so she knew very well that to send me on the carpool run and to not ask me to help with the tire. That's just, everybody knows that about me. But I couldn't help but think when she sent me the pictures, and I said, wow, these are brand new tires, and you just couldn't predict this happening. And luckily she was able to get the spare and drive off. And the analogy here is really, it's almost like income protection. Clients need to have disability insurance because they don't know when they could have that flat tire or a long-term disability. And if they don't have a spare to keep themselves going financially during that time period, even though they're out of work, that's going to be a big problem on how you can keep going down the road. And so that's the analogy that I shared on LinkedIn. And it's one of those life events we can all relate to. The majority of us that drive, we've gotten a flat tire at some point. It's unexpected. It's usually at a very inopportune time, like when you're running late for a carpool pickup anyway, and everybody's in meetings. And it's just one of those things. You got to drop everything to handle. And that's what happens when there's a long-term disability. But you don't want your income to stop.
Along those lines, you know what? It's I won't swear today. It's a total pain in your backside. You immediately have angst. Your father-in-law has angst. Your wife has angst. Your kids don't know, but if you're late picking them up, they start to get worried. This is over a tire, right? A tire.
A new tire.
Just
too.
a tire. And what does it do to everybody's psyche when something like that happens?
It makes you anxious and stressed about the unknown. How are we going to fix this? Is this going to cost something? How am I going to get out of here? Is everybody else going to be okay with the plans that I was supposed to be doing that now I can't? Very similar questions almost that you might be asking yourself if you had a long-term disability occur.
And think about the tire for, like, we'll call it the entire problem is somewhere between 90 minutes and 2 hours. Think about that lasting. Let's phrase this a different way. Think about, you don't know when the end is going to happen of that feeling. You don't know when that feeling is going to end. This is why we talk about what we talk about. And last night, along those lines, we're talking medical, life in general. I looked up on AI last night just for the heck of it. I looked up leading cause, and everybody knows this and hears it all the time, leading cause of bankruptcy. So I decided to see what AI had for me. And I know I'm supposed to use AI like more schooling, and they say old people like me shouldn't just dick around with it, but I kind of do. I try to like even trick it sometimes for dumb questions. But last night's question was really direct. It's what's the leading cause of bankruptcy in the United States of America? And I think I shared it with you. It's somewhere between like 63 and 69. So let's call it almost 70%, somewhere in that realm of all bankruptcies in the United States are what related?
Related to probably loss of income and job, something along those lines, and due to an injury or illness of some kind.
Right. Medical issues. They don't say specifically medical insurance. There's a lot of people, I understand, that don't carry medical insurance. And that unto itself is a completely different problem that I can't fix. But there's an awful lot of people that are fully insured medically. And I don't know that number. And maybe that's the next crazy question I'll ask as we get done today. But it says medical issues is what it says, not medical insurance. Medical issues, job loss, other related to the medical issue, unexpected expenses, all of the things we talk about every single day. It's as easy as having that conversation about anything else. 7 out of 10, we have a tire. Everybody has a flat tire at some point in their life. And if you have it, you will have. Guarantee it. Think about those types of things. And we talk about bankruptcies. We talk about America, where we are in this country and why things happen the way they do. Well, we can still take responsibility for some of our own stuff. And if you have the means to do it, not people that can't, we understand that. I'm empathetic and so are you. I want the best for everybody. I don't want homeless. I would like everybody to make sure they got medical coverage.
Yep.
And all the above. But there's a great number, and I would say in the millions of people that have full medical insurance, and tell me if you agree or disagree, have full medical insurance, but they don't have income protection.
Yeah, exactly. I think of that 70%, you probably have a group of people that have what I would call an isolated shock claim, where they have some health event occur. It's a one-time deal where that maybe they're not totally disabled, but it's a huge bill, 6 figures, 7 figures, whatever it is. And it could bankrupt them whether they have health insurance or not. And that's scary in and of itself. And I'm talking medical coverage. And that's scary. There's another group of people, though, that might have medical insurance and they don't have long-term disability coverage. And what could happen there is if they get a diagnosis or suffer an accident or an injury, some type of health event, and it's an ongoing claim for whatever treatment, recovery, whatever it is, it could be years. Think of a cancer diagnosis that requires chemo on and off for years, right? that's a huge medical expense, and potentially you're out of work. So in those instances, it's not the initial isolated diagnosis or accident that occurs that is going to bankrupt somebody. Okay. It's the lack of income and the ongoing expenses over time. And that results in a bankruptcy. And so to your point, Mike, you really have to have the medical coverage and also the disability coverage together, because that way, if you do have a long-term disability from that health diagnosis or accident and you're out of work, you're unable to earn an income for an extended period of time, then hopefully you're getting your income replaced by your long-term disability coverage, because that's how you can stay in the game financially and not have to be part of the statistic that has to file bankruptcy. And the problem, Mike, is that a lot of working Americans don't know that they need long-term disability coverage. That's our biggest problem here.
And I would agree with you 100%, because a friend of mine that lasted, again, I've mentioned him before, it was 2.5 years, died of esophageal cancer at age 47 with 3 kids still in high school. Actually, 1 in grade school, 2 in high school. When we would discuss work, it's like, how do you think I can go to work? And this guy is basically a scientist, right? An engineer scientist. How do you think I can go to work? I physically go to work. I mentally can't go to work. I'm spending every waking hour of my life trying to get better for my family, trying to take care of myself. That was 2.5 years long. And he, obviously, you know the story. He didn't win the battle. But my point is you and I call this all the time, is, you have a health insurance policy. You and I don't do policies. We do planning. And a health insurance policy does nothing more than pays all the salaries of all the people that take care of you in the event you get hurt or sick. And you want to be well taken care of, and that's fair. You know what? You don't write a check to a doctor. Like when I was a kid, $10, I took it up to Doc Shutter, and I got my physical, and it was $10, and that was the end of it, or $5. No, everything is filed on an insurance claim. So doctors, nurses, almost everybody gets their money from where?
A lot of them, all the financing for all the expenses and procedures, all the billing from the hospital, all usually gets billed to a health insurer.
Correct. And then they do reimbursements. That's where we'll just use doctors as a simple one example. That's where they get paid. That generates their revenue for their family. Fair? Pays their bills.
That's correct.
It really does. So I always tell people, why do you have just a health insurance policy? You really have half a plan. And this is what you just alluded to. The plan is, if you can put yourself on the list to get paid in the event you're hurt or sick while you're being taken care of, would you or would you not want to put yourself on that list?
I absolutely would. And that's why I own disability coverage.
That's exactly why you own disability insurance. A full health insurance plan puts that contingency into play, that into mix. You already understood in the event you get hurt or sick, you want to be taken care of. You already understand that you can be hurt or sick because you have health insurance. I've never had anybody say, well, I'm not worried about me getting sick. It's just my kids. I've never heard that in my life.
Right.
I mean, you worry about your entire family, to include yourself, in the event you get hurt or sick, or there's a diagnosis that surprises you one day. Yep. You've got to do it. So if you want to think of income protection, disability insurance, paycheck insurance, think about it as the second half of your health insurance plan. It's policy number 2 that completes the plan. And it's one of the best ways to complete a plan. Because if you're on the payroll and you're going to go 2.5 years, and I pray to God anybody that listens to us never has to do this at 45 years of age or whatever your age is, spend all of your time going to treatment centers for cancer, doing experimentals, doing everything, and not working. But by the grace of God, my guy was totally squared away. They still live in their house just a mile away from us. Other than they've lost their father, which is going to be sad forever, their lives still go on. They're in school. They're doing sports. They're doing their basketball. They're doing their extracurriculars. They're living in the same house. They have the same cars because he had done the right thing.
Right.
And that, if that's not enough for somebody to think, man, maybe I should do it too, then my friend, I don't know what to tell you.
No, there's so much truth in that. And I do like using the medical and disability, creating the health insurance plan. I think that is just a great way to explain it to consumers, because they already get the health insurance. But a lot of consumers don't understand that they're not on the payroll, as you say. So it's easy to understand, hey, the medical insurance is really just a financing tool, or medical coverage, whatever you want to call it, to pay the hospitals, doctors, pharmacy, RX, right? Everything for the nurses, the staff, everything to take care of all the treatments and services that you're getting through a hospital or doctor's office. But it does not pay you. Medical insurance does not pay you. It just helps finance all of that stuff for you. So in order to get income replaced, if a health event occurs that leaves you unable to work and earn an income for an extended period of time, you also need long-term disability coverage.
I'm going to throw one more at you. Let's say that the average health insurance premium, let's just make it as easy as we can. Let's use $1,000 a month. Okay, coverage, it's $1,000 a month. A lot of places it's way more than that. We know that. But it's $12,000 a year is what you're paying for your health insurance. What would, for a family that's four, they're paying $1,000 a month. Let's say that mom and dad each make $100,000 a year, so they're making $200,000 and they're 40 years of age. Anywhere near $1,000 a month of premium for those two people to be completely covered for a great disability contract?
Likely not. No,
not even close. So it's not like we're talking about 100% more to do it. So it's not a $24,000 plan. It's more like, let's say it's $200 each for a really good policy. That's right. $2,400. That's $5,000. So you're now paying $17,000 a year, and the worries are completely gone. Remember the tire, how it feels to have an hour and a half of feeling like crap because of a flat tire. Think about anywhere from one day to the next 10 or 15 years or 20 years.
Yep,
it can happen.
Yep. No, that's a great way to frame it, and I would even say that $1,000 a month for a family of four means that whoever's employer they're getting the coverage through is probably greatly contributing to their premiums, because I think it would be at least double that if they were paying full freight. So
Grayson,
it's frightening to see this.
I was going to say half, right? I think the employer's paying half on that one. So the point is that half is. So let's say that it's $2,000 and you're an entrepreneur. At the end of the day, you're still only going to end up spending that $4,000 to $5,000 most likely for you and your spouse to have individual disability coverage to take care of whatever it needs to be taken care of in the event you're hurt or sick.
And just to take it further too, because a lot of folks listening to this, they probably work in the employee benefit space a little bit. They might help companies with group health. They might even do some term life and all that. When you're working with a family, they have a mortgage, they have their bills getting paid. They understand the value of protection of the health insurance if something happens. At the same time, it's about protecting, replacing income. So not only are you going to be focusing on making sure that they're okay in the event of a disability, but you also have a term life opportunity there as well, because that's income replacement in the event of death. So the three components, products there actually go in tandem to protect the household. It's very easy for a family to understand that, but you just have to spell it out for them. So,
wow, it sounds like if you throw property casualty auto into the mix, it's a risk protection plan, current and up to date.
That's exactly right, Mike. I think we finally figured it out.
Awesome. Well, my friend, as always, it's great to be back. I look forward to seeing you here really soon. We'll get together, and we got things we have to do, but you know what, for now, I'm re-energized. Let's just keep trying to get the message out that disability insurance is not a want. It should be a need.
I like it. Let's do it. And let's get those LIMRA numbers up so we can have a happy podcast next year to report higher numbers. Everybody listening, thanks for tuning in. And Mike, look forward to see you on the next call, man.
All right, my friend. Appreciate you. See you next week. And remember, financial planning starts with a risk protection package first.
And your clients are counting on you. See you on the show next time.
All right, my friend. Be well.